Hi, Amy.
Hi.
Hope you're doing well right now. So, first of all, I want to thank you for coming to the interview. We really appreciate it. So, why don't we just start off with your major and where you're from?
Okay, so my major is under UD division. It's supposed to be international studies with hopefully a double major in CDM, and I am originally from Reno, Nevada of the US.
How long have you lived in Korea for now?
It's coming up to a year and a half.
Year and a half. Wow. So, can you speak Korean? How well do you think you speak it on a scale of 1 to 5?
On a scale of 1 to 5, maybe a 2.5. I'm in an intermediate Korean class, but I think I'm on a lower level. I still have a hard time.
Ah, I see. And do you think it's important to know Korean when you come to Korea?
Honestly, I really think if you're choosing to come to a Korean university, it is really important to learn Korean, especially because Korea is a very homogeneous society still. So it's not like the US where you can find a lot of communities with different languages. There are people that speak English in Korea, but I think it's less kind to come here and just expect them to treat you in English. So yeah.
Oh, that's quite interesting. So, why don't we move on to some serious questions now, right? So, could you tell us maybe what your hopes and aspirations are?
That's a really hard question immediately, but I think living here, my hopes and aspirations are just to be successful and happy. I think those are very basic and generic answers for people, but I think as I grow and as I experience things here, my definition of happiness and success are constantly changing. So I think that's just my end goal is hopefully by the time I finish college, I have good people, good life experiences and skills. So.
Oh, I see. So, what made you choose Yonsei UIC out of all the schools?
Amongst the Korean universities specifically, I think UIC, although it has its setbacks, it definitely is one of the better ones for offering support to international students. And we do have our classes in English, where somewhere like the other Sky universities, KU and SNU, they have less possibilities for you to take classes in English. So you really, really do have to know Korean. It was really appealing that I could still use English and not stress myself out about that as much. In terms of this compared to other universities in America, I think this kind of facilitates what I want to do with my career. So it was important that I go to Korea and experience this.
I see. So, how have your expectations compared to the reality of moving to Korea or a new country, let's say?
The best piece of advice I got before coming to Korea is expect the unexpected. So I think my expectations were a little bit lowered compared to those who see TikToks and think that they're going to come here and experience their little K-drama life. Not that that's a bad thing, but I think I have experienced hurdles that I wasn't expecting to, especially because we came during COVID. But I also think there's a certain struggle that I face because I'm East Asian. And to the general society, I think they think I'm Korean, even though I look nothing like Korean people. So there's like a certain expectation of me compared to like my foreigner friends, which I had to navigate and adjust to.
I see. So, what are some things you miss about home?
Now that it's been so long, I feel like I have a little list building up. I definitely miss my mom and my family a lot. I think I miss the weather. The weather's a little bit more consistent back home. And I miss the food. Granted, I love Korean food. And like, even though American food is like slop on a plate, it's like you kind of miss that growing up, like your normal palate. And I think I miss like the more human interaction. Like, don't get me wrong, I have friends in Korea, but the interactions are very different. So I think I miss like the more eccentric American personalities compared to the very like docile Korean ones. So yeah.
I see. So, let's see. What is something you would miss about Korea if you went back home?
There's a lot I would miss as well. I think I would definitely miss the convenience of everything. Back home where I live, we don't have public transport, and you definitely have to take a car to get everywhere, which is very prone in America. I would miss the independence for sure. The people, the nature. I think the nature is a lot more beautiful here. And I think there's a certain level of more like, not understanding here, but if people don't agree with you, they're more passive about it. And I'm a really passive person, so I don't like to butt heads on certain things, which is nice here because we can kind of just like walk away. But I hear Korean people don't have the same experience, so maybe it's my foreigner experience.
It seems like you're having some sort of a good time in Korea. It seems you're fitting in well with everybody here. But what is one culture shock you have had living in Korea?
Honestly, I don't really remember any culture shocks that I've had. I'm sure there are a few. It's been so long now. They're like at the back of my head. I'm sure I'll get culture shocked once I come back. I will say a reverse culture shock is I went to Canada for a trip and I forgot taxes were a thing, because in Korea it's all in one. I think when I have these interviews or people ask me, I try to be more positive about it, but behind the scenes there's obviously a lot of struggle living here, and I think that foreigners who come should be very aware of that. So
Very good. So, do you have any plans after graduating from Yonsei?
not immediate ones that I want to immediately put forth. I'm obviously hoping to use my degree. So I want to maybe do something within North Korean politics. It's very difficult, of course, so I'm not sure if that's the immediate field I want to go into in terms of international politics. But I also hopefully will be fluent enough in Korean to work in the Korean media as well. I think that's something very popular in Korea and something I'm very interested in. So like Korean entertainment media.
That sounds very interesting. Do you think you would want to stay in Korea after you graduate?
It's very back and forth these days. There are some days where I'm leaving right now. I don't even want to finish my degree. And then there are days where I'm like, it's perfect. I'm never leaving. I think as of right now, I'm a little bit skeptical on how my life will play out here, especially because, again, it kind of always comes back to how fluent are you in Korean. I think outside of college, I definitely have a harder time in this society. But I think, yeah, like if I'm good at Korean, I think I'd plan to stay for a little bit, look for a job. And I think even after I'm done with my degree, I'm hoping to go to Korean Language Institute for a little bit to really hone in on them skills.
Oh, I see. So, could you say one of your favorite Korean phrases maybe then?
It's not a phrase, but I think it's just a word. I got really hooked on the word 갑자기. Like, I just feel like it fits any situation if you don't really have anything to say. Like, most people will just like respond with like, oh, 진짜? And I'll be like, really? 갑자기? Like, oh, suddenly it happened? But yeah, I like mixing like English and Korean in just situations. I think it makes my friends laugh, so.
And perhaps for our viewers who can't speak Korean, could you explain to them what 갑자기 means?
It just is kind of a phrase that's like, oh, suddenly, like, out of the blue type of thing. It's like one of those responded, like, if you're like surprised, like if somebody scares me right now, I'd be like, oh, 갑자기. So, yeah.
That sounds very fun. So, what is one thing that you would like to say to potential UIC students?
For potential UIC students, I think definitely have your expectations be low, which I feel like is not something people always advise because they want you to have high expectations and good goals. But if your expectations are out of this world, you're going to get really disappointed and you might fall into a slight depression when you come here. I think something I always tell the freshmen especially is your first semester and your first year in general is your trial period, so do not push staying here. If you don't like it, then there's no point in like finishing your degree here. You might as well transfer back home. And definitely have a good support system. Come with some pocket money. Make sure you go get your ARC right away. You don't want to get deported. And be strict with your boundaries. That's a very big one here. Is like you come here, you're probably not of legal drinking age back home and all of these mixed things. So just be strict with your boundaries, have self-respect. Yeah.
Very good. It seems like you have to be a very resilient individual if you move to any country, let alone if you come to a whole nother university, right? How do you think resilience helped you throughout this past year and a half?
I think I've had some very not fond experiences here as well as some very hard moments. I think my resilience and strength has really just aided me in moving through every day. I think it's very necessary because for me, I have always wanted to travel the world and go outside of the US. And it would never really hit me that I would get homesick because I've been so leave the house. But once you actually do leave the house, I think you will experience deep homesickness. And I think just not like having resilience to just not buy a plane ticket and go home immediately is something that you kind of need.
Okay, well, thank you for coming today to the interview, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
Of course, thank you.